Hello everyone, Sharky here, and today's video is going to be about this chassis, cabinet, container, gizmo that I picked up for these ESP120 power supplies. So if you've looked into these ESP120 power supplies before, you'll know that they are by far the cheapest option for powering an LD mall amp. These things go for anywhere from 20 to, I don't know, 60 bucks a piece. And it's a 3000 watt 50 volt power supply that can be modded up to 63 volts, and you might even be able to push it to 65, but that's outside the rating of the output capacitors. So I've got this one that is tuned up to 65 volts, and I want a chassis for it because up until now I've been using it as it sits. I had this taped as a strain relief. I've got my wires soldered on there, and it's all kind of just haphazardly thrown together, and I don't like having open electrical connections. I prefer to have strain reliefs on things and, you know, have all open connections inside of a metal chassis, things like that. So I went on a hunt and I found this wiring trough for a reasonable price. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was in the $40 or $50 range. And here is the part number in case this is something that interests you. So if you type in that catalog number right there, it'll pop right up on the internet. You'll see all the different sources and all the different prices you can get on it. So when you buy this, it comes with these end plates that are already pre-installed on the ends, and they're riveted in place. So when you get it, these end plates are permanently installed. It can be removed if you drill out the rivets on each one of them like I did. And also another side note, these don't come with holes in this face. So these square holes and these round holes in the corner, it doesn't come with that. It's just completely all closed off. Same thing on both sides. And I've made some modifications to it. I put rivet nuts in here and using socket head cap screws because I don't like sheet metal screws. I hate them. They are my nemesis. And if we ever meet in person, there will be war. So the reason I made these modifications, the reason I put these holes here, is so that I can put a screen on the end of it so that the power supply still has the ability to flow some air through it. So when these things are running idle, when they're idling, they actually put off quite a big amount of heat, and I think that's because they have a minimum load requirement. So I think that they have kind of like a dummy load inside of them, and when there's no load on the power supply, it feeds the power into a dummy load and just wastes a little bit of heat so that the power supply is ready to go. I think that's what's happening, but I'm not positive. That's just my impression. So these things do need to have airflow. You could put it in this cabinet without a fan, but it would get hot really quick, and bad things would probably happen. You'd probably go into a thermal shutdown. This power supply, it barely fits in here. It barely fits. You'll see once I have it together, but it barely fits lengthwise. So this is a 36-inch long wiring trough, and it fits in there. It's good enough, but it's a tight squeeze. It's such a tight squeeze that in order to get more room, you have to take the plastic fan grills that are off of this end of it. That's no big deal, just a couple screws, and it comes right off of there. But make note of that it's a very tight fit. So I'm gonna slap this thing in there, and I'm gonna show you how it turns out. I'm not gonna set up the camera and do it all on tripod. Most of it's just drilling holes and soldering a couple of wires. It's a pretty simple thing. But this cabinet, another thing I wanted to mention, this is big enough for 2 of these. So you could stack 2 of these in here. It's got plenty of space in this direction. It's the length where it's a tight squeeze. So you could definitely fit 2 of these in here if you wanted. I considered it. I don't need it right now, but maybe in the future I will, and all I got to do is just slide it in there, drill a couple more holes for the power wires, and I'm good to go. But yeah, this is a pretty cheap option to find a container, you know, a metal housing for your ESP120s. And I'm gonna go finish this up, and I'll come back and take a video and show you how it comes out. All right. About 45 minutes later, a little bit of sweat with the hacksaw, a couple of sharp edges with the drill bit, and it's just about done. So I don't know if you noticed these pieces earlier, but they had a centerpiece, like a cross cut out. I just cut that out of there with the hacksaw. My dumb ass should have done that while I was at the shop, so I didn't have to sweat and, you know, blood and tears with the hacksaw, but I got it done. So the way that this is mounted in there, I don't know if you can see it, there's a screw there, and there's a screw there, so that's holding it down on that end. And on this end, there's a little bracket that goes to a 3mm hole right there. So there's a hole for an M3 screw. I just took a little piece of sheet metal, bent it into an L bracket. That way it's all nice and secured. This is my 50-volt line over here. That's that. And those are soldered to the terminals in here. And here's my 220 coming in. That's one of the last things I got to do. Got to run down to the old Home Depot and get a cord grip for that, so I don't chew up my cord. And that's pretty much it. That's about it. Plenty of room in here for another one of these, if that's what you wanted to do. There's probably going to be somebody in the comments that's like, well, why didn't you just get the server chassis for these things? Well, these were originally designed to slide into a server chassis, but from what I've seen, the chassis that these go into is much bigger. It's got room for the actual server computer in it, so this slides into the whole computer chassis. It's not like a separate power supply chassis. If anybody knows different, please let me know. I would really like to have a bank of these, you know, 4 of them, 8 of them, all banked up in a rack mount. But for now, this is good enough to suit my needs. I'm probably going to put a divider in here so that it doesn't circulate air inside the chassis. That way it blocks off the inlet from the outlet. You know, maybe just cut a little piece of cardboard or something, because eventually I'm probably going to put a second one of these in here. I have it, just haven't done the 60 something volt mod on it. Once I go to do that mod on my other one of these, I will take a video, because modding these up to 63 volts is not it's not super easy to figure out. You got to do some digging on the endless sphere forum. Once you dig deep enough in there, there's a little bit of information that you need to know to get it done. But it's, like I said, it's not particularly easy, so I'll make a walkthrough video on that one. And yeah, probably gonna put a power switch in here somewhere. Right now, my 220 plug is pretty easy to get to, so I haven't been using a switch on this, but I'll probably get a nice little recessed switch, on and off switch. But anyway, that's it for today. I'm gonna button it up and call it quits. Mud Duck Sharky, and I'll be back with another video one of these days.